1998 was a year of many things like Unreal, Initial D, Windows 98, Google, Saving Private Ryan, the best model year Toyota Camry ever made, and who could forget good old
I want
Zippergate.
you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
Anyway, the one thing that came out of 1998 that we're celebrating today is, drumroll please, Half-Life. If I had to sum up 90s first-person shooters in a single metaphor, it would probably go something like this. Wolfenstein 3D was the wheel, Doom was the horse-drawn carriage, Quake 2 or Unreal, not picking sides, would be the combustion engine, and Half-Life would be the Ford Model T. Many sources named Half-Life as the best first-person shooter to date, and it certainly holds a special place in my heart as well. While admittedly, it hasn't aged as well as its sequel, Half-Life 2, a game from 2004 that looks like it could have been released today, it's still a fantastic game that is well deserving of its accolades. Even playing through the game a second time was a blast, and because the first time was just after I had had my wisdom teeth removed and I was still a little woozy from the anesthesia, I was even more appreciative of all this game had to offer the second time around. One of the things that struck me about this game was its ability to tell a riveting story and clue you into exactly what was going on, without using objective markers, cutscenes, or even a speaking protagonist. While some parts were rather difficult, I didn't find that there were any places that seemed objectively unfair, though that didn't stop me from saving my game rather frequently. If you're not familiar with Half-Life, I'll give you the rundown. You play as Gordon Freeman, an MIT-educated theoretical physicist who just so happens to be knowledgeable in firearms, including pistols, machine guns with grenade launchers,
Say hello to my little friend!
shotguns, rocket launchers, whatever the hell this is. Crossbows that can penetrate the armor of an APC. This Ghostbusters-inspired glue-on gun and a Hornet launcher. Anyway, you're Gordon Freeman, and you work at the Black Mesa Research Facility, which happens to be the least OSHA-certified workplace in video game history. Even the security guard at the front desk knows that it's going to be
just one of those days, I guess.
Despite seeing a circuit board explode before your very eyes,
It's about to go critical.
you still make your way down to the test chamber in order to insert a crystal sample into a doodad, and that's when all hell breaks loose.
Get away from the beat! Shutting down. No, shut down. It's not. It's not. It's not shutting down. It's not.
You have to use your wits to fight your way out, fighting headcrabs, zombies, vortigons, bull squids. No, seriously, that's what they're called. And a lot of other aliens that I don't remember the name of, but all pale in the comparison to the evil that is the United States Marine Corps.
Where are we taking this Freeman guy? Topside for questioning. What the hell for? We got him. Let's kill him now. And if they find the body? Body? What body?
But hey, can you really blame them for being mad at you?
So, who's this guy, Freeman? They say he was at Ground Zero. Science team? You think he was responsible? Sabotage, maybe? Yeah, maybe. All I know for sure is he's been killing my buddies. Oh yeah, he'll pay. He will definitely pay.
Actually, no, I take that back. The Ninja Black Ops forces are even worse than the Marines. This game has no shortage of cool levels, allowing you to explore the massive, even more unsafe expanse that is the Black Mesa facility, with extremely memorable levels and alien bosses like this one.
No! 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 Get it off me! Get it off! Get it out of him!
This is one of my favorites, and you have to distract this insectoid octopus that only sees through sound, so you have to walk quietly and distract it with grenades, or else you end up like this guy here.
Hey! Hey, over here!
The goal of this level is to power up and fuel a rocket engine test to kill the monster so you can progress through the game, and this is probably one of the more sophisticated puzzles in the game. Speaking of puzzles, this game actually has object physics that allow you to push and pull objects. And while the pushing works alright, the pulling, well, this clip just about sums it up. Yeah, so what happens there happens a lot. The object that you're pulling just decides to fly off in a random direction, which can be really aggravating at times. While I say this game has a lot of good levels, it has a couple of really frustrating ones. My least favorite being residue processing. You guys know that Charlie Chaplin movie where he gets sucked into the gears and stuff? Imagine that, but with trip mines, conveyor belts, and toxic waste. It's not a good combo and is one of the few lowlights in an overall awesome game. Come to think of it, I didn't particularly enjoy any of the platforming in this game, and anything with rotating platforms was especially annoying. While most of the sound design is dated, there are definitely some sounds that still inspire terror, and I think chief among them is the growl of the ichthyosaur, an alien dinosaur shark that is one of my favorite enemies in the game. While it's not sophisticated, when you hear this sound, you want to swim the other way as fast as you can. So once you survive the marine onslaught, make your way to the Lambda complex and swim through some reactor coolant, the scientist there rewards you with an exciting opportunity to teleport to the alien dimension of Zen, a land full of floating platforms and low gravity that turns the jumping puzzles up to 11. There, you'll fight the headcrab queen Gonarch and eventually the alien mastermind Nihilith before eventually being swooped up by the infamous G-Man before the end credits roll. While it's the 20th anniversary of the original Half-Life game, it's also the 19th anniversary of Half-Life Opposing Force, a standalone expansion jointly developed by Valve and Gearbox Software that I believe is criminally underrated despite being the home of one of the least convincing video game deaths I've ever seen.
Get out of here! Listen to me, Shepard! Those things! They'll kill all of us!
In Opposing Force, you play as Corporal Adrian Shepard, a Marine set in to deal with the crisis, and you can see things from a different perspective as the story overlaps with that of the main game. I'll also mention Half-Life Blue Shift, the expansion pack where you get to play as security guard Barney Calhoun, but as far as Half-Life goes, it's not really that memorable and you can beat it in less than an hour and a half. The music in Opposing Force is actually a lot more memorable than that of the original Half-Life, at least to me, and if you're a longtime viewer, you might recognize this track.
Do you have any idea who's in charge of this operation? Roger that.
As for Blue Shift, it more or less ripped the music from Opposing Force and called it a day. Well, this game's age does show in many places. It's still great fun to play, even a second time. It also makes me excited to try Black Mesa, a fan-made recreation of Half-Life in the more recent Source engine, and while I've only played a couple hours, I've enjoyed it so far. Too bad it's been 20 years since the start of Half-Life, and there's still no sign of Half-Life 3, at least not at the time I'm writing the script. If you're familiar with the original Half-Life game, or games rather, let me know if there's something I missed. If you haven't played them for yourself, go give it a shot. One last note before I go. Turns out Half-Life shares its birthday with my brother, so I guess November 19th is a really special day in a lot more ways than one. What else happened on November 19th? Let's see, the Stalingrad counteroffensive began, the Nintendo Wii was released, the Gettysburg Address, that's a big one. Anyhow, from the hearts of gamers everywhere, thank you Valve for this truly stunning, kick-ass game. We now present to you the 21 Crowbar Salute.